Good morning, everyone. Oh, we're still not awake enough, huh? Good morning. It is such an honor and a blessing to be here to talk about such an important topic, and I wanted to talk a little bit about how I come to the work. I entered foster care as an 11-month-old baby. At 9, I was adopted into what was supposed to be a forever family, but it wasn't a loving home. I ended up couch surfing. The system didn't believe I was being abused, so at 15, I taped a recorder to my chest, collected evidence, and re-entered foster care. Being a foster kid taught me that family was for other people. You learn to carry your life in a trash bag and smile so that you don't seem ungrateful. Even without abuse, foster care is rough. You're placed with strangers and expected to become family, and if you don't fit in, you've moved again. New home, new school, new rules, new everything. Those experiences shaped me to start my nonprofit, Think of Us. But first, I want to tell you about my brother. I met him for the first time when I was 14. He moved out of the projects in hopes of a better life. He hated what was happening to me and promised to get me out of foster care. For the first time, I believed I would live with family. The state's response: he had to become a licensed foster parent. He needed an apartment that met state standards, required training, paperwork, and more. Without it, there was no legal path, no financial help. He was in high school, working part-time, so he went back to the dangerous projects to save money. His worst fear became our reality. He was killed. Financial support, simpler forms, and one rule change could have kept him alive. Hope without resources is cruel. I understood then I wouldn't be adopted or placed with kin. I aged out. In college, I built the first version of Think of Us, an app to help foster youth build a transition plan for life after high school. That evolved into an online resource navigation program, connecting youth and relatives to housing, food, and support. Today, it has impacted over 23,000 people, the kind of help my brother needed. But services are not enough. So 5 years ago, we invented a model we called proximate policy. The model supports decisions and policy initiatives already happening by others. Rather than creating our own agenda, we reinforce other system reform efforts by bringing in lived experience, data, tech, and real-world insights from people doing the work at the exact moment leaders need that information to make critical decisions. We do this with state child welfare directors and appointed federal leaders by conducting rapid learning when needed, testing new models, and convening lived experience and other stakeholders, which help leaders drive reform with clarity and confidence. That work led us to build the nation's largest database of lived experience in child welfare, 51,000 voices. Here's one example. One recurring theme we heard was that a federal rule was making it difficult for children to be placed with family on day one. In partnership with others, we pushed for new kin-specific licensing rules and standards that empower states to get rid of inefficiencies and use money differently. Things that would have made it possible for me to live with my brother. And states moved quickly. In just 18 months, 18 states submitted or received approval for their plans to use these new federal options to prioritize kin placement. A few years ago, my sister called and said my father's side of the family was having a reunion. I had never met them. They didn't know I existed. I ran to the park in Harlem and found them. They were kind, welcoming, and curious. About 90 minutes in, everything changed. I learned I had 4 aunts who had been fostering and adopting longer than I had been alive. All I can do was reach into my pocket, pull out my phone, and GPS to my last foster home, 58 miles away. My entire childhood, I was 58 miles and a few questions away from being raised by people who could have loved me. My story is not unique, but it doesn't have to be this way. We can find homes for every child, but before I tell you about the man on that mission to fix this, I just want to say thank you for listening to my story. Thank you. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Alex Adams, Assistant Secretary for the Administration for Children and Families. Before this role, he served as Idaho's Director of Health and Welfare. His leadership there led the child welfare system to prevent unnecessary placements into foster care. He worked with the legislator to expand extended foster care to 23. I aged out at 23. It was enough support and the right amount of time for me to work and learn and build life beyond survival. With not enough foster homes, too many of us spend nights sleeping in offices, sleeping in hotels, not in homes. When he started, he just had 54 foster homes for every 100 foster youth who was in his system. But by cutting red tape, activating folks in your role and others, he drove one of the most impactful foster home recruitment turnarounds in this country, reaching 104 foster homes for every 100 children who is in his system. Now, just 60 days into his federal appointment, he is bringing that same urgency and clarity to the entire nation. He is focused on something that is simple and powerful. Find families when we can, prevent unnecessary placements into foster care, place children with safe relatives, and recruit a home for every child. If we answer this call, it is possible in the short term that we can find a home for every child. It is my honor and my pleasure to invite Dr. Alex Adams.